Travis Cochran, the technician. Welcome back, my friend.
So good to be back, man. It's crazy to think that, as we were just saying, it's been, what's that, just under a year now.
Yeah, August. We sat down in my little studio at Warana and talked about your story. And it's as I said to you, watching from afar, the evolution of you individually from then till now has been pretty full on, and it's a good, and one of the main reasons I want to get back on is obviously tell that story even further, but it's a great insight for anyone that listens and then goes, well, I can follow my dreams, I can change my direction, I can pursue happiness, I can fill my cup. It's not something that's never going to be possible for anyone, which you are a walking example of. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, wow. And it really is humbling to think how far I have come. It'd be even cool to go back and do some sort of comparison in the way I speak, the way I hold myself, the way I look in a video next to each other, because the amount that has changed in 12 months is insane, man. Like and you're right. Like I'm 32 this year. I turned 32 in April. So people get so caught up in this, like, oh, I'm this age and I should have this done by now, and this career didn't work out. And it's like, okay, well, does that matter? But society tells us it matters. Society tells us we should have this, and this.
Yep.
And yet no one's really focusing more so on the story that they want to create. Right. So, even the fact that I think when I was talking to you, I was still with my partner at the time.
Yep.
We separated in December because I got to a moment where I was doing so much work. I was elevating so high and doing so much like spirituality, personal development, all these things, all these beautiful things, that I had this realization that we just were two different, very different people. So, and people from the outside in say like, oh, what are you doing? Like, she's the perfect woman and this, and so. Yeah, Tams is incredible and we're still very close, but at the same time, she just wasn't the woman for me. And some people will sit there and say same thing, where they look at the age, they look at the person they found, they're like, oh, that's the best I'll ever do. That's like, well, if you have that kind of attitude, then that is the best you're ever going to do, because that's what you believe. But for myself, I had that realization that I can have and do and be whatever I want. So why would I not? I'm not going to settle. If I'm not entirely happy with what I have, then it's okay to change direction and go out and do yourself. But I didn't say to myself, oh, I'm going to go find someone better, because Tams is incredible. What I did is I'm going to go find someone better within. So I went within and did all this work on myself, so that then when I'm ready, the universe or whatever it may be, whatever anyone believes, will provide that person for me that I deserve at my level. I'll meet someone at my level, which I did that work, man. And I can see that the people in my life right now, the environment, not just on a romantic level, but friends, family, I cannot stop getting and meeting new people that are incredible, and they just raise me up, right? I'm sure you've noticed that in the past, where when your environment's solid and they're at a level, they raise you up too.
100%. They do, man. Absolutely. It's who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with toxic people or negative people, well, guess what? That's going to influence you in the way you think. You surround yourself with positivity and gratitude and just people that are enthusiastic about life. Well, that's going to work its way into you as well. So your values, your energy, everything changes. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I talk about this story quite a lot whenever I am on a podcast, and I think I may have mentioned it to you about when I met Potsy at the farmers markets and that sort of thing. And
I like this story.
Yeah, and it's to think that one man changed my trajectory so much.
Yeah.
What then continued to happen was that ripple effect of meeting people like Toddy Jarrett, who's now one of my best mates and mentors, right?
Yep.
Rip, who became one of my best mates and mentors as well, because he has these things that he could teach me. And, with anyone not knowing, just before I went to that Dr. Espin experience is when we chatted. And little did I know that my whole life was going to change from one weekend, right? So the things I learned about myself, the releases of pent up trauma and grief and shame, like understanding that if you look at the hierarchy of frequencies, which I can't remember the name of it, but if it's like a frequency chart that shows you that if you're sitting in a frequency of shame, grief, anger, they're very low vibe frequencies.
Right.
when you're up in joy, happiness, and fulfillment, all these other things, you're very high frequency. So the most simple way I could put that to anyone listening is, when someone walks in a room, you look at them and like, what is it about this guy or this woman? Why are they so friendly? Why do I just want to chat to them? Because they're vibrating at
That
a high
energy.
frequency. The energy is just so like, holy crap, I want to be around this person. So I noticed that as soon as I got rid of these old emotions that were stuck in my body through meditation, letters to the grief, or whatever it may have been, I noticed that my frequency started to raise. So through that, I started to meet people such as Todd, Rip, all these other beautiful people in my life now. And there's these things that just started to accumulate. And like you would have seen through their story, is that literally from us three taking the piss out of each other on that weekend, where it was like, oh, because Rip's a builder, and it was like, oh, what are you going to be, like the conscious carpenter? What are you going to be, the ripple effect? Because his name's Rip. We're like, the ripple effect. And little did we know that was going to turn into, Rip hosted this little thing in his backyard, and then we did that again and got 20, 25 people there. We just did a bit of meditation, ice baths, breath work, connection, had a barbecue. And all of a sudden, the three of us were like, well, why can't we turn this into an event? So within 5 weeks, from a backyard event in Rip's backyard, we turned it into 100 people at an event that we sold out in 5 weeks, created an event flow, got 12, I think it was like 12 leaders, 10 leaders, so facilitators to come and help and hold the space. And got a videographer, photographer, all these things. We created a whole event in 5 weeks. And it was probably the most chaotic time of my life and their lives. But the culmination of this incredible event that changed so many lives, and what we seen that day was insane. Right?
Wow.
So that in itself proved to myself and the boys as well what you're capable of if you have the right people in your life. And if you really want to go after something, just make it happen. I'm now in the coaching space where I'm mentoring, and I call myself a human helper. Now, I word it like that because I listen to a lot of Ram Dass. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
I've heard of him. I haven't listened though.
Highly recommend getting into him. He's, I guess for a lot of people, they would see him as woo-woo, but his knowledge on life and just the way his views are just incredible. And one thing he said is that he used to be, I think he was a psychologist at some point.
Okay.
And what he saw, the issue with people that are psychologists, psychotherapists, counselors, whatever it might be, they only see themselves as that, and then their client as a client or their patient. They don't see them as another human, so they treat them a certain way, and there's a certain energy given to that. So when I go into helping the people I'm helping, if I say I'm just another human helping another human, I come at them with equal love and equal understanding, and not seeing myself from up here talking down to them. It's kind of like we're both equal because we're all one. That's what my belief is. And if I come from that space of understanding and love, the help I give them is so different to than if I'm speaking down to them, kind of thing. So, and that's what I've noticed, is that when I'm coming from that place of understanding and that place of level-headedness and seeing them as just at my level, the way that they reciprocate and listen to me and feel that is like on a whole nother level. So and it's just that that greater knowing that as soon as we get these people in our lives that can show us these things, holy dooly, man, the things that are possible are crazy.
It's nuts, isn't it? Yeah, that's such a good way of looking at it too, because a lot of people are sheltered, I suppose, or they're not prepared to look for change, I guess. But you clearly stepped outside your comfort zone on numerous occasions to get to where you are now. And obviously, as we spoke about last time, and for those that don't remember, you were a rugby league prodigy. You came through the Bronco Academy, and then you got signed with the Broncos, but you knocked them back. So for any young red-blooded male who lives in New South Wales or Queensland and has played rugby league, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To be an NRL player. But you are one of probably very few who have turned that opportunity down, but it was primarily because of your happiness. And I think that's such a huge thing.
Well, here's the thing. I've just recently figured out exactly what it was, right?
Okay.
So I believe now I know what I know, it was more the fact that rather than sit in the discomfort of going outside my comfort zone, I gave up. So it was like, I don't think I truly ever didn't like football.
Right.
I think I was just too scared of the discomfort that came with what came with football. So it was
Right.
like this thing I recently, and this is what I've been telling a lot of people, especially like my humans, is that there's this analogy of, say, this dog that's got a bark color on. And, you know, when they go to a certain zone, they get zapped and like, oh shit, I better go back to my comfort zone, to my house.
Yep.
What if that dog sat in the discomfort for a little bit, got zapped, and it's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And then it goes a little bit further.
Yeah, right.
A little bit
Pushes
further.
the boundary. Yeah.
A little bit further. And it sees that animal or something that it wants to chase out there. And it just sits in that discomfort for a bit, sits on the edge. It's like, oh, this is getting easier. Oh, looks back in the comfort zone and the house is way back there.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's past the zone of where he keeps getting shocked. And he's like, oh, let's go. And then he's living the life that he wanted to live. He's away from that. So I started to see that all I did was I gave into the discomfort. I gave into the hardness. And it was like, yeah, life's supposed to be hard. I actually discovered recently as well that anxiety, it's an emotion. We get told that it's a bad thing. And yet anxiety saved us for many years. It was something I said on my podcast with Soph the other day, where it's like, if we didn't have anxiety and then Johnny, the local ice addict, is running at us with a knife, would we react in the way we're supposed to if we didn't have that reaction of
good point,
fight or flight?
Yeah.
Would we have the reaction of, oh shit, adrenaline pumping through our body, and like we need to run, we need to focus on this thing that's in danger to us, and we need to fuck off or try to fight? Probably don't fight because they're usually super strong. So it's actually a beautiful thing. If you look at anxiety as a beautiful thing and it's an emotion, it's something that we cannot get rid of. Everyone's always trying to escape from anxiety, but it's not, you can't. The only people that don't experience anxiety are the people that are dead.
Yeah.
Because it's literally something that is built into us, our sympathetic state. It's a survival practice essentially. So as long as people can get to a point where they understand it, they accept it, they can learn to control it with things like breath, meditation, understanding what is anxiety, what's causing you anxiety. Go towards that stuff more often, because the more you go towards it, the easier that shit becomes.
Absolutely.
It's like if I go into the gym and just expect to lift 150 kilos and squat because I haven't trained for 6 months on legs, I'm not going to probably do it very well. No. But if I start at, say, 80 kilos and work my way up and do the reps, do the work, eventually 150 kilos becomes quite easy for me.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. So that fear of going to Brisbane to meet all these guys I didn't know, or the training and the worried whether I'm going to be strong enough, fast enough, quick enough, whatever, all these things I used to question myself over, rather than just dealing with the discomfort, I gave up.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, no, it's way easier to not do this than it is to do this.
Yep.
So I just gave up. And I'm going to call myself out on that. It wasn't that I didn't like football. It was that I was too much of a fucking pussy to just deal with the discomfort and deal. And this is the thing, right? The key in the wording I just used is that my masculine is now unlocked too.
Yeah.
I used to be super feminine, but now I'm able to call people out in their shit. I set boundaries. I tell people how I feel. I tell my truth. I'm authentic because I don't care what people think. I still have moments. Everyone still has a moments where you're like a little bit, oh, should I post that? What are they going to think? Or should I wear that? What are they going to think? Whatever. But it's, if you can take responsibility for your bullshit too and realize your old thought patterns and beliefs that were holding you back, moving forward, we can change that as long as we're willing to deal with the discomfort. And I think that's such an important aspect.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I think so. And that's really cool that you've identified that. Based on that now, do you have any regrets in regards to not pursuing that career? I know that we're obviously, 10 years, 12 years down the track or whatever, and you'd effectively be, if you were playing, you'd be close to retirement by now, I would assume, but injury aside and stuff. So having had the opportunity to reflect and obviously develop yourself a bit more, is there any element of a regret that you didn't pursue that career?
There used to be, right? So, and then I had that release at Espen's weekend where we wrote a letter to whatever regret we're holding on to. And I wrote a letter to my 17-year-old self, and I actually just wrote this 2 pages worth, right? The writing was easy. So it was the writing where I wrote, hey, brother, I love you. I actually respect you for the decision you made, as hard as it was. And I thank you, because what he did, he sent me on a path of destruction for 10 plus years of identity crisis, mental health issues, nearly killing myself, trying all these different jobs, all these issues. But I said thank you, because what it gave me is the ability to now be a healer that I am, because I dealt with all that shit
Yep.
because of that decision I made. So now that I look at the grand scheme of things, it was supposed to happen.
There you go.
This 6'5", 130 kilo vessel wasn't built for playing football. This 6'5", 130 kilo vessel was built to be a leader.
Yeah,
To be
okay.
seen and heard by people, because when they see me, they're like, holy shit, he's a big dude. I'm going to listen purely because of his stature.
Your presence, yeah.
But the presence of the physicality, that's not what you can have a dude that's 5'2" and is powerful as, because his energy and his presence and the way he speaks and he's in his masculine and that sort of stuff, that can be much more powerful than a guy that is, 6'10", whatever, and a beast. But I realize now that what had to happen, I didn't have to. I got to go through all that stuff to now be at this point where my energy levels match my size.
Yep.
My presence and my leadership has caught up. And now I get that this vessel that is the outer shell, the human, the meat sack, the pure meat sack was just ready there for the being that's within me to catch up to the size, essentially. Because now I'm at that point where, as I said, dude, I've got all these new abilities. I've got all these new leadership traits. I've got this ability to speak better. So when, I don't know if you've heard about chakras at all.
Yep.
So my throat chakra, right? For anyone listening, I know this is going to sound a bit weird if you haven't heard about this stuff. I get it. And this is why we'll talk about BBB in a sec. But, as Paul said, I was a football player. So all this spiritual stuff to me was a bit of like, what the fuck is this all about? So I get it, but I've lived it and I understand it now. But my throat chakra, essentially, after the first ripple effect, we do this exercise in the war pit where it's all the males face off against each other in a masculine trait.
Okay.
So it's screaming at each other's face to tap into that inner warrior, because a lot of men don't know how to use their masculine energy. They're still very feminine.
Right.
So what happened that day, I just went at this kid that was in front of me, right?
I've seen this footage. Yeah.
So that's what I used to tap into on the football field.
Right.
That's what got me noticed, because I never could use my masculine off the field and tell my truth and speak my truth and set the boundaries and use that masculine energy. So when I was on the football field, all that pent up masculine was getting unleashed on these poor guys on the other side on the field. So I was literally at the point where I was concussing people, I was breaking bones, like I was destroying people because I had so much energy built up because I wasn't using it in real life.
Sure.
So that's what I tapped into that day. And I realized that, oh shit, I can use this off the field too. And that's what I was missing. I understood now what I was missing from football and in life was that I have this ability to show who I am. I have this ability to be powerful and strong, but without being physical. I can use my voice. So what happened is my throat chakra, essentially, I felt it rip. I felt blood and everything during that. So I couldn't speak for like a week.
Wow.
But after that, I swear to God, I spoke differently. I held myself differently.
Really?
So you'll probably notice something to keep an eye on. When someone's goes to say something and they don't speak their truth, they'll usually like croak up a little bit. They'll get a bit, or they'll have a little blowout, like when you're going through puberty, they'll go to say something. And because it's not their truth, it'll come out in like a less like, oh yeah, like it's a panic almost.
Yep.
So I've noticed now that, I'm happy to say whatever I feel. It all comes out very strong and with confidence, and people listen to you more because they're like, oh, I believe what he said because he said that with confidence. So that's where it starts to change. And you're like, well, what do you mean you screamed in someone's face and you changed that? Like that can be one of the most powerful things. I literally tell some of my humans, it's like, go down to the beach, go under the water and scream for like 10 seconds, right? Release that shit. All that shit you're suppressing each week at work because you're dealing with Janine who's sitting next to you, who's a bitch, and she's at you all day bullying you or whatever.
Yep.
And you can't express yourself because you don't know how to be in your masculine and tell her to fuck off or set the boundaries or whatever. How about you go down to the beach or into the forest or into your pillow and let all that rage out and
Yep.
express it. Go to the gym, go play some footy, go join some local sports team. You know, all those things that we are suppressing actually causes anxiety too.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
like building that nervous system up to the point where anything then sets you off into a panic attack because
Yep.
your sympathetic nervous system is so at peak all the time because you're not expressing anything. That's when it becomes a problem too.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
There's a lot in that. Sorry, I went on a weird tangent.
No. That's really good. It's a lot to process, but that was really impressive. So, all right, let's talk about the ripple effect because you've mentioned that a couple of times now already. You've had 2 major events to date. Obviously, you hold them like sort of every quarter or 6 monthly, something along those lines. Talk about the process. Firstly, the first one, because obviously, as you mentioned, there was pretty much panic stations from when you decided to do it to when it kicked off. But from all reports, it went off like a house on fire. It was unbelievable. And then that led into the second one, which is more recently. So talk us through that process, the experience you guys had as leaders, and then obviously the take home from all the participants.
Yeah, wow. I guess I'll pre-frame this as well as that myself and Todd have removed ourselves from the ripple effect.
Okay.
So we've decided that purely business-wise, we wanted to focus on our own things.
Okay.
So Rip will be continuing on with it as his own thing with Beck, which they're amazing. We love them so much still, and they're going to do incredible things. But we just wanted to go our separate ways and do our own thing.
Sure.
No like stress, drama, whatever towards those people or whatever happened. There's no issues there.
Yep.
It was just like a different alignment, essentially, the best way to put it. So
yeah, cool.
But yeah, the first event, man, holy crap. Honestly, the most powerful experience probably of my life.
Wow.
I will say that with confidence.
Yeah.
Easily, with confidence, everyone should experience the ripple effect at some point, or these type of events like your cool to be conscious experience, spirit breath work, whatever it might be. People I feel like should or could go and experience this and change their lives.
Yep.
I'll never sit here and say you need to go because no one needs to do shit. You can do whatever you like, but I would suggest that it would be something worthwhile because I saw people walk in there at the start of the day, right? We're getting all the war paint like painted up on your face. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah.
Like that's it. We wanted to keep everything very primal and tribal.
Okay.
So people are walking in because no one had any idea what they were walking into.
No, they wouldn't have.
Literally not a clue. They were like, what have we signed up to? Who are these people? Why they got face paint on? What the fuck is this? And they come in and I seen some women were like shaking. So I walk up like, hey, how you doing? It's going to be okay. And like gave them a hug, settled them down, calm the nervous system down. And as soon as we jumped into the first meditation, you could see everyone start to be like, okay, this is going to be okay. Toddy drops into like a childlike mindset through that meditation. And we go back to these things that are suppressed through our childhood. And I think that's a very important aspect is that we forget that our childlike past or our childlike energy gets suppressed as soon as we turn into adults.
Right.
Everyone forgets we can still have fun.
Yeah, I was about to say we forget to have fun, don't we?
Man, like I'm 32. I still game like a dork. Like I'm usually on my Xbox at least 2 or 3 times a week because that's kind of like a meditation for me. It's not escaping reality. It used to be that, but now it's like it elevates me. But essentially, yeah, long story short, we process through the day. The whole idea is that it's the men and women polarity. So we wanted half for the day. So we got 50 men, 50 women.
Okay.
There's a few men that didn't show up on the day. They pulled out on the day or the night before because obviously a lot of people, the anxiety gets to them, the fear.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's like they start creating all these things in their head like, oh, it's going to be this. And it's like, well, you don't know what it's going to be like because it hasn't happened yet. So, which is fine. I get it. I used to be like that too. I used to pull out in so many things like football. You know? So, but essentially 4 of us male facilitators had to drop in. So I dropped in. I experienced every single activity for myself.
Nice.
So things like the feminine appreciation, the masculine war pit, receiving. So men usually don't receive unconditional love. we don't know how to just stand there and just receive unconditional love. So an activity there was we got all the men in a big circle, arms out to the side, close down their eyes, and just receive. We have music playing, and the women are just going around and just hugging, holding, showing love. And the men couldn't hug back because all men ever want to do is like, oh, let me just fix it. Let me, like, I want to fix, I want to give, I want to be a provider. I want to be the hunter. Like, and it's like, no, just receive, just relax, tap into the feminine side of things for yourself. And you receive love for once. You receive help. You receive guidance. You receive compliments, all these things that men especially are really bad, or women are too, usually from, say someone says, hey, Paul, you're a really good looking dude, and you probably some people get a bit like, oh, no. Like, but if we just say thank you, you watch how your life changes. As soon as you start to just say thank you, you actually then allow all this energy to just flow through you. And that could be money, help, opportunities, everything. The universe goes, oh, they're finally okay to receive. Well, here's all the good shit.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because that literally happened to me yesterday. I got a compliment and I sort of brushed it off. Yeah, I brushed it off.
Right. So, dude, I'll give you this challenge for the next week. Just say thank you to literally everything.
Okay.
And you watch what happens. You'll get more business. You'll get more people pop up in your life that are good people. I cannot stop the opportunities right now. As soon as I started just saying thank you.
Wow.
Could be anything. Could be, hey, you're really tall. And I'll just be like, thank you. Rather than just being like, oh yeah, nah, but you're a bit tall. Like, there's no need to go into this defensive state. And because I guess we've been so conditioned by our culture within Australia, especially, is oh, you're so up yourself, you love yourself.
That's it, ego. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I do love myself because I respect myself. So eat a dick. It's like it's not selfish. It's just having self-love and self-worth allows us to help more people in ourselves, because once our cup is filled, we then can fill other people's cups. So that receivership during that activity is purely for that. So yeah, we go through some more stuff. We do some ice baths. Tug of war is really fun.
I've seen that. That looks awesome.
Yeah. And then the ice baths are amazing. Obviously, I recommend ice baths to anyone, helping to overcome those nervous systems, help us overcome anything in life. If we can do an ice bath, usually you're just like, oh, I sat in this ice bath and nearly died the other day. I'll be fine with anything else.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You won't die, but some people think that jumping into cold water that cold, they're like, oh, I can't do this. And then as soon as they do it, oh, that was easy. And then they get this self-belief happening.
Yep.
So, and then one of the most powerful breath work, like the breath work that Todd took everyone through that first one. And then the second one, holy crap. Like I saw people and the stories they shared after, some people saw like their deceased grandfathers, or maybe like a dad or a sister or a brother that had passed away came to them during the breath, because we released DMT during the breath work. And, to think that breath is free.
Yeah.
And yet no one really does it or knows how it can help us. That is really sad to me, because that's what's changed my life.
Yep.
If anyone wanted to take any advice or any value from this podcast today, learn how to breathe properly.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, man, that first event of the ripple effect was just that. And the second one was just even better, because we refined everything.
Yep.
We had more leaders. We had a better spot up in Mullaney. Everything just went way smoother, and it was more powerful that day because we knew what we were doing. And we had the right amount of men and women. We didn't have to have any of the leaders really drop in, which was cool.
Okay.
So, but this is where it leads to the point where it was quite hard to get the people we wanted there, the people that we want or need or believe could do the work. Myself and Lukey O'Neill, who's a good mate of mine and is now a business partner of mine with Breath Brew and Barbecue, we realized that not everyone is just randomly going to be like, I'm going to go to this crazy day that looks insane and love it. We get that from the outside in, it's probably terrifying.
There's a lot of resistance out there.
Yeah, I'm sure guys, especially men to do this work, this emotional work and this breath work and ice baths and all this sort of stuff. we get that it's quite intimidating, and we
Mm.
understand that. We're respectful of that. So the idea of Breath Brew and Barbecue is that we create this really casual space to get people to come along, and we talk about that stuff and we introduce it on a very casual, basic level. So
Okay.
we might do like a 10-minute Wim Hof. Everyone can do that. You just put it on
Yeah.
YouTube and press play.
Yep.
We do a little meditation. Again, do it through YouTube. We talk about what did we like the last time we did it was just at a friend's place. She invited us over, and Lukey and I, without knowing, we just started to facilitate both of us naturally, take them through the ice bath, have a few drinks afterwards, whether it's kombucha, beer, coffee, whatever, tea,
Mm.
and ate some nice food and just shared. And then around the fire, we just talk about our stuff. So the one big thing I think that's missing from our culture, and we all know it, when you sit around a fire, it just hits different.
Of course it does.
You
There's
know,
something different about that, isn't there?
oh man, it brings out something instinctual, something primal and tribal
Yeah.
within us to share with the people around us. And I think something I learned recently, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like fire is life.
Mm.
So when we're around fire and we're talking about these emotions, these burning desires, these deep suppressed thoughts that we don't talk to anyone about, as soon as they're released, they can almost be released into the fire as well. We could write down something and chuck it in the fire, and we've released that.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually an activity that I'll get some people to do where it's like, oh, you're holding on to resentment from your dad from 30 years ago. That doesn't sound fun.
No, it doesn't.
Why not write a letter to him? You don't have to give it to him, or he
No.
might have passed or whatever. Write a letter, all the things that you want to say sorry for, the things you want to, say, hey, it's all good. I respectfully say thank you for what you did for me. I forgive you. All these things, chuck it in the fire. Let that shit go. Let that old story go.
Move
because
on.
it's happened, right?
Yep.
So these are the little moments we want to have during Breath, Brew, and Barbecue, where it's like we want to introduce people into these things and help them see how helpful it is.
Okay.
And then maybe if they experience it on that very basic level and this really intimate sort of casual level, then they'll go to do these bigger events that are a bit more intense, that are a bit more like they go deeper, and we start to chip away at the deeper layers. And what comes out the other side, as you can see, dude, I've done so much of this work in the last 12 months.
Mm.
And as I said, if we look back at that video from that August podcast, I'm sure my presence is different. I'm sure I speak differently. And that's the beauty of being able to show this work in that before and after, is that you want to get here, well, this is what you do, and you can get here. Anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
So
that's definitely the take-home message, isn't it? Like you can preach all you want about wanting to change or wanting to do life better or just making improvements, but unless you take that first step, it's not going to happen. You've got to do it, and unfortunately, some of it's going to be uncomfortable.
It's, I believe, discomfort, as you would know, being, you're such a great trainer and you've been doing it for so long. You know that the ones that put in the hard yards and just do the reps every day and go through that discomfort, I believe everyone puts these massive goals on themselves of, they look at the top of Mount Everest and like, I'll never get up there. But if they just look at the first step and just go, eventually they end up at the top, right? So especially when you're training like people that are competing, the level of body fat they have to be at, like not many people can do that. It's such an intense thing to do, but I'm sure those people that do that realize that they're capable of anything, because I would believe that'd be one of the hardest things ever to do.
Absolutely. It is. You're right. Upon reflection, I've done it over 30 times. It creates the awareness that you can overcome nearly anything, because you can put yourself through, and it's by choice, put yourself through this path of adversity where you're hungry, you're tired, you're emotional for 6 months of a period of time. But when you reflect back and go, wow, I can do that. I can do anything. And it truly is a humbling, challenging experience all in one. So it's a good analogy.
My question to you would be, have you done any of those sort of events, like those deeper diving events?
I have. We've had Potsy come down and take us through some workshops at my place. Prior to that, we had another facilitator do it as well. So I've done the breath work and the ice.
Nice.
A couple of times. The ice is still a challenge for me, but I still do it. My wife puts me to shame every time. She just gets in and nails it, and I'm in there breathing rapidly, but I still do it. So that's been really good. So yeah, and I'm very much now, even my own personal evolution, I'm very much now more awake and open to that style of learnings and energy, rather than and go back 5 years, I would have gone whatever, this all woo woo crap. But now it's like, wow, I can see the difference. I can see what the universe provides, and I can see, like, it's something simple as an example, when you are constantly in my field of work, when you're constantly stressed about, like, oh, I don't have enough clients this week or something like that, it just has this negative impact on the entire week. But when you sort of take a step back and just let it be and remain as positive as you can, but next thing you know, you get 3 clients just drop in and say, hey, I want to train with you. It's incredible how that works, and it works so often.
Holy crap. I'm so glad you brought that point up, because that's what popped into my head as soon as you said it.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, the less I do, the more happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing how that works. Like you stress about money and you stress about not having enough work. Well, that's pretty much all you're going to focus on. But if you just take a step back and just chill a little bit more, and maybe you work on some other stuff in the background, and just put that positive energy back out there, it comes back on you. It really does.
Literally, that's probably been the biggest change for me. Is I always struggle with money my whole life.
Sure.
And not to blame anyone. Obviously, my parents are just doing what they can with what they know. But it's a lot of the time we're conditioned a certain way. Our money blueprint at a core in our sacrum, or our solar plexus, it's a lot of it's tied to our heart. And a lot of the time the first thing we remember is, oh, we were told we could never buy that. We can't afford that. Oh, you've got enough money, or people with money are evil. And not saying this is what mum and dad said, but I feel like this is a very common thread for people in Australia, especially. We're told to feel a certain way about money.
Yes.
And so we believe that. And then we take on beliefs of, oh, I'll never be rich, or I'll never be wealthy, I'll never be well off. And all these things, it's just repetitive. And it's like, well, subconscious will start to believe that, and then you'll start to manifest that. And then that is exactly what you'll get, because what we believe we'll conceive. And that
absolutely,
that can be good or evil. So, that book in itself, Think and Grow Rich, that's where I learned those things, through Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, rest in peace, Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
And knowing those things, and only the last couple of months, I was like, well, why can't I be wealthy? Why can't I be this multimillionaire? And I don't want to be wealthy for the fact of, I want to be able to buy cool shit and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it attaches to my core value of wanting to leave as much impact as I can before I die.
Yep.
So the more money I have, the more business I can create, the more opportunities. Yeah. Right. So once I start attaching my reason to something more fulfilling like that, it becomes easier, because I know that the foundations I'm laying right now, as much as I still struggle week to week sometimes, I just know that it's all accumulating to this point where it's just going to be like, holy shit, here's $10 million for this incredible idea, Trav, here you go. Or you're now one of the best podcasts in the world. We're going to sponsor you each week. All these things.
Yeah.
It takes time, and I'm understanding it's only been 12 months.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in 5 years?
Oh, can you imagine?
Right.
Yeah.
And I can already see it on my thing up there. It says #1 podcast in self-development in the next 12 months.
There you go.
Earning 200,000 per year. What else we got there? Financially free, travel Australia. I'm going to do I want like a mobile podcast in a van and just travel around Australia.
Oh, how good. I remember you mentioned that on a previous podcast and someone else's. Yeah.
Yeah. Do the tech trek. So I want to set up in different towns and stuff, and just set up a table and come tell me a story. Like, all that stuff, I believe, is all manifesting right now, because I'm putting in the work. So
that's it.
It's these things. So many people believe that kind of life isn't available to us.
It's out of reach.
Yeah. And it's sad, because I believe we've just been lied to our whole lives. We were told that go to school, go to uni, get a job, work until you're 60 something, and then you retire and you can enjoy life. And and there's no judgment on people that want to do that. That's fine. It's the people that I feel sorry for are the ones that are sitting in a job that they hate, and they think that that's all they're capable of.
Yep.
Not everyone has to be a technician or a Paul Hooper or whatever it might be. Is like, you don't have to have some great scheme and great impact on life. You can also just live the life you want to live and go camping each week, or do nothing all day, every day, and then have passive income through crypto or something. Like,
Yeah.
just understanding that whatever life you want, you can literally have it. It's just a matter of doing it.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that you hit the nail on the head, and that you literally just described who I used to be. 14 years in construction, and I hated every minute of it, but I didn't realise that until I made the risk of changing into personal training. You know, and you develop anxiety, and you'd skip days of work because you didn't want to go in, and like that was my life. So yeah, it's really, and there's so many people out there. Like I obviously work with a lot of people that are in that boat. They constantly complain about their job. They don't like the people they work with. They don't like the stress that it brings. You know, they're just not happy. But
What's the main thing they say
when they don't want to change? They're fearful of changing. You know, I'll put it to them. I say, well, change your job. No, I can't do that. You know, because of the money. You know, money pays the bills, and it keeps a roof over your head and all that sort of stuff. But they're not happy. And it's just a vicious cycle that they go around.
Once you start to see that it's possible, and again, it's environment, right? So I'm watching. Right. I've got all these people around me that are doing incredible things, like Elizabeth Ann Walker. I don't know if you've heard of her before.
No.
She's got probably one of the biggest NLP practices in Australia.
Okay.
And a few of my good friends have done her course, which is like a week-long course, and they give you all these incredible tools and resources to become an NLP practitioner.
Yep.
And some people will sit there and be like, "What, you do this and you become this?" And it's like, well, yeah, that's possible. Like, it's that some of the biggest changes in my life have been in the last few months because I've met a lot of people within the NLP space.
There you go.
They've helped me with reconditioning the way I think, the way I look at things.
The language
is huge. Neuro-linguistic programming. It's like, one of the boys is 20 years old, Lockie.
Yeah, wow.
He does inner child work and like shadow work. And this dude's incredible. So we're actually going to be doing a podcast together where he's going to do a live method of what he does on me, so everyone can see.
Oh, that's
how
cool.
Powerful. Yeah. So there's probably still things from so inner child, and that shadow work is usually on a subconscious level of things that were conditioned into us from 0 to 7 years old.
Okay.
So he has the ability potentially to go back all that way to things that we've suppressed to help us release some of that stuff we're probably still holding on to from that time.
Right.
We bring a lot of that suppression into our modern day life, which we act a certain way. So whether you were treated a certain way by your dad or your mom and you want approval, so then you treat your partners the same way where you want approval, so you do certain things. I know there's so many men and women that get like toxic partners all the time. Like, well, why does this keep happening? I keep getting this. Well, it's because that's your frequency. So your frequency is what you'll frequently see. So it's kind of, if you're in this state of, I hate myself, I don't respect myself, and blah, blah, blah. Well, what kind of person do you think is going to come into your life?
Yeah.
Not the one you want.
No, that's right. That's exactly right.
But it's the one you need because that's the level you're at. So man, you start to think about these things in the greater picture. And like you said, I think it all started when that 2020 year came around and we had time to slow down.
Yep.
We had time to think. We had time to see and question things.
Yep.
I think that's so important for anyone listening. Just question things. Ask yourself, what else is possible? That in itself, that one line, what else is possible, can be such a empowering moment for you, because you might be sitting there and thinking, well, it's easy for you to say you don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage, and rah. It's like, yeah, okay, it's probably a little bit easier for me to take risks and, just get by each week, but you still have the ability to do that. It's just a little bit harder.
That's right. Yeah. But it comes down to priority too. What do you consider your priorities? And obviously family is always going to be very important. Look, I've got 3 young kids. I'm right up there in terms of that. But it's very much relatable to the objections I get in terms of people wanting to do improve their health. First thing is time. They always say don't have enough time. Second thing is money. It's too expensive. I can't afford that. But when they say that, the first thing that generally comes to mind as a response is, well, what's your priority? If you're still spending money here, there, and everywhere on other things that may not be as important, you can redirect that money to improve your life, improve your health, and then all of a sudden your aspect on life, your energy improves, your abundance improves, you sleep better, your relationship improves, all because you've made this simple change. It's pretty impressive when it happens, when people actually see it that way.
Yeah, that's the realization, right? And I heard you say something in there that is so true. Foundational health is something that really gets brushed aside, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Everyone wants to try and make everything so complicated and be like, oh, I have to go to the gym 6 times a week to get healthy. It's like, well, are you getting good sleep?
Yeah. Drink some water, get good sleep. But you know what? That statement, I get that a lot. I have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
If you change that around, this is the NLP stuff, and obviously I haven't learned it, but I know this works really, really well. It's not that I have to go to the gym; I get to go to the gym.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a gratitude thing. We live in a world where we have the opportunity to go to these amazing gyms and look after our bodies and our mind. Not we have to go to the gym to flog ourselves because we feel we have to burn calories to lose weight or whatever the case may be. You've got to change the perspective on how that is.
I love that. And one of the most powerful practices I have during my Rewire program that I'm doing at the moment. So this is my first actual program I've put together.
Okay.
And I had no idea what I was doing. I just said, yep, I'm going to do a 5-week program and who wants to come and do it? So I ended up getting 8 clients, which was amazing. And 5 weeks of me attempting to change their lives, rewire their mindset, rewire the subconscious, their language, everything.
Yep.
And there's been some incredible breakthroughs, and I've just been building this as I go. Right. So,
good.
But during that, I was like, well, then I just learned some practices from books and stuff. Honestly, guys, anyone listening, the best tool and resource I can give anyone is books.
Yep.
Books is the go-to, because I learned this one thing that's been super powerful is I get people to write down a list of I shoulds. Okay. So I should go to the gym. I should lose weight. I should make more money. And then I'll get them to read that out. So say some of them do 5 or 6, some of them do 20. I just give them time to write it down. So, and we're doing this during the call. And then I go back and I say, let's go through that again. And I'm going to ask you something at the end of it. So let's say you say, I should get more clients. And I just say, why?
Yeah.
And you'll say, oh, because I need to make more money. Why? And we go deeper and deeper and we uncover the real why as to why you believe that. Mm-hmm. And then we flip that again and we go, all right, so we've got all our whys. We've got all the deeper understandings of all these I shoulds. Now let's go back and let's change that I should to if I wanted to, I could. So now the line is if I wanted to, I could get more clients.
Yeah.
Right. So if you really wanted to, you could. There's just probably some things that you need to change up or get to change up. And that's been one of the most powerful things that I've included now in this program. And you see it, the conversations that happen and the realizations on their face when they're like, oh my God, I don't have to do shit. I get to do everything I want. It's these things that we get told by our parents, like mom, dad, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Have compassion for them because they're doing what they can with what they know.
That's right.
You
don't know what you don't know.
Oh, dude, we've got 150 years worth of victims, right? So imagine people that were dealing with the Wild West or World War I or whatever, the kids they created, they obviously got a very different upbringing than, say, we would have.
Yep.
So everyone is just doing what they can with what they know. They know what they know. They don't know what they don't know. And have some, just say, okay, I am grateful for the way you've raised me. I forgive you for all that bad shit you've done, whatever, because you were scared too. You were scared and that's why you did this, and this. And not saying it's okay what some shit's happened, because I know there's abuse, there's so much domestic violence, whatever. But if we can release those things and say, and literally say to yourself, I release this, do those letters, chuck them in the fire, whatever it might be, some sort of release method, that in itself starts to bring down our anxiety within our body that's built up all the time. So anyone that's really struggling with anxiety and still does or deals with this fear of judgment or whatever, it's usually thanks to some stuff that you're holding on to from the past.
Yep.
Now, think about that for a second. You're holding on to shit that's happened still.
Still.
It's not happening. It's happened.
No, it's not.
You're choosing to hold on to those things from the past that won't allow you to move forward. So, dude, there's so much within it that I'm seeing people some of them, it's only been 2 weeks and they're already having these life-changing realizations just from having someone to keep them accountable.
Yep.
And having someone looking from the outside in, which you would know all about. You'd hear people say certain things and it's a blind spot for them. And then you just say, hey, I caught that. Let's talk about that. And you switch that language. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
And then they can make these big changes again.
That's it. It could be something so obvious, yet because you're so one-dimensional in the way you're currently thinking, that unless it's pointed out to you, you won't realize it. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And that there's no fault of theirs. That's just the way they've been sort of, as you mentioned, conditioned sort of for a period of time, obviously dragging stuff up from the past. But as soon as it's brought to your attention and made you aware, and you can actually sort of break it down and think about it, it's a great way to get breakthroughs in any walk of life, whether it be, trying to get someone to overcome a weight loss plateau or just the way they're thinking.
I've actually got something prepared for this little podcast.
Go
on. Do you know Jordan Peterson?
I know that name. What do I know that name?
So you'll hear his voice because I'm going to play this through this, and hopefully it comes through the speakers as well. We'll test it first. But essentially, what you just said is perfect, and I believe the core foundation of the issue why a lot of people don't do these things is because they don't respect themselves enough. They don't have any self-worth.
Yep.
So if they don't love themselves enough, if they don't respect themselves enough, they're not going to do the things to change. Because they're like, why would I bother with this person when I'll just go help other people get better because I love them more than myself.
Yeah.
So then I listen to a lot of JP because he's incredible.
Yep.
And this little part hit me the other day. So I'll play this. Actually, I'll play the first second, see if it works.
Okay.
Imagine someone that you treat.
Is that coming through?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So it goes for about a minute, but I feel like it's very relevant for this will teach a few people a few things.
Let's do it.
Eat well, that you love. Then try to treat yourself that way. You got to detach from yourself a bit. You got to think, okay, well, I'm a person among other people, and I deserve at least as much respect as a person among other people. And I should be trying to help myself across time. And instead of being self-contemptuous and self-destructive, I need to take care of myself as if I'm potentially valuable, and to lay out my life that way. And so that's what that chapter is about. And it's hard for people, they don't take care of themselves as well as they should. And I don't mean, take care of yourself. I mean, that isn't what I mean. It's like, it's not a moralistic attack. It's like, it's an encouragement to give yourself a bit of the benefit of the doubt. Take care of your room, take care of your things, like have some respect for yourself. It's like there is a lot of potential within you, and there's many things that you can do, and you're necessary more than you think to the unfolding of things. Like if you make a bunch of bad decisions, things get worse, not just for you, like things get worse. And so it matters what you do. And so part of what you do is you want to treat yourself as if what you do matters. And
so treat yourself as if what you do matters, because it does.
It does.
It 100% does. Respect yourself to the point where you believe that every decision you make as soon as you put your foot down on that floor when you wake up is going to make a difference in the world, because it will.
Absolutely. I like that. The about doing all the little things right. Make your bed, clean your room, like have respect for your surroundings. It's so true. Yet we take it for granted and potentially don't do it because we don't deem it important enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, usually they say like messy room, messy mind. So it's like, can we at least foundationally have a good sleep, wake up, drink some water, clean up, make our bed, do our morning affirmations in the mirror, have a cold shower, have a feed or a bit of a stretch, whatever. That is literally a great foundation to starting your rebuilding of who you truly want to be.
Set your intentions for the day. Yeah. Positive intentions for the day.
Yeah. And that's something where anyone that's really struggling with relationships, I found a beautiful hack.
Okay.
through a challenge that a mate, Toddy, said to me. He had some feedback and he said, all right, there's some stuff I'm seeing that you're probably not seeing from the outside in. As a good mate and a good mentor, they'll call you out in your shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, what I want you to do is do a month of no porn, no masturbation, no sex, no no dating apps, whatever.
Yep.
Most powerful thing I've ever done, honestly.
Right.
I know it sounds silly because it's only a month. I know women that have done like 8, 10 months, whatever, 12 months. But for men, they find it really hard because they get quite addicted to porn and that sort of thing because it's that dopamine release. So
yes,
it could be soft porn on Instagram. It could be anything, but we get so used to that chemical release of dopamine, we get addicted to it. So then it's really hard to find happiness in real life because we get so addicted to that feeling.
Yes.
So then we start trying to find that in real life through porn, pokies, beer, cocaine, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So honestly, a month, that's all it took for me. Could take someone 2 weeks, but that month allowed me to then build up the resilience and you have so much more energy. So much more energy, man. My business went off during that month because I just had all this energy to put into that, all this life source to put into that.
Yeah.
And then what else happened was that whenever I say I wanted to meet up with someone for like a coffee or anything like that, the intention was I'm not meeting this person to try and sleep with them or become anything. I'm just meeting them as a human to have a good chat. Worst case scenario, I have a 2-3 hour chat over coffee and I have a good time and I've got a new friend.
There you go.
Right. There's no attachment to the outcome of like, oh, why don't they like me? Oh, was I too ugly? Or did I say the wrong thing? It's like, who cares what happened? If it turns out the way that it's supposed to, it will. And the way it turns out is perfect. Either way, if you go into with the intention of, as I said, not having any attachment to the outcome, whatever happens, happens. Cool.
Yep.
And that's when we start to realize that if we've got power of ourselves and we've got power of whatever we're doing, we can only control that. You can't control how the other person's going to think or feel.
Yeah, that's right.
It's whatever you're projecting, they're going to pick up on. They might really like what you put up.
Absolutely.
They might not.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. So anyone that's really struggling to find that significant other or find friends or whatever it is, really think about maybe working on yourself first and then raise your vibration a little bit. And then those people will start to come into your life that you deserve. So yeah, best thing I ever did, because it obviously also made me realize that, masturbation itself is not any good, man. We get told for so long and it's like, it's healthy. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. Like you can do it if you like here and there. Yeah. But if you're the type of dude that's at home masturbating 2 or 3 times a day, then you need to get yourself sorted, because we don't need to, you get to, because honestly, on the other side of, if you can hold yourself off from doing that stuff, life without it is so much better.
There you go.
So much better.
How good. That's unreal, man. So you mentioned your little whiteboard in the background there about your intentions and obviously the next 5-year plans. So is there anything else that you'd like to share that you haven't already in terms of what you're wanting to achieve based on obviously your evolution to this point? Yes. I know you've mentioned tracking around in a van, doing those, what do you call it? The travel tech?
The tech trek.
Tech trek. How cool. Yep. Have you got any other ventures or events or anything that you're planning? Obviously, the evolution of your programming and stuff is going to continue as well.
Some big plans in place, bro.
Oh, so, that's what I like to hear.
Rewire in itself is going to become a community. So it's not just this program. What I want Rewire to become is its old brand. So we've got clothing, we've got memberships, it's rewiring the whole culture. I want to create a Rewire program where it's I've got an event where I can get 4 of my favorite influencers on the Sunshine Coast, or like incredible mentors, entrepreneurs. I get them to come to a place where 100 people can come listen, but I'm the technician up the front interviewing them in a panel style thing.
Gotcha.
So you get the benefit of watching basically a live podcast, but all these incredible people you can learn from.
Yep.
So that in itself would be a Rewire event. And then obviously Breath Brew and Barbecue, BBB, is going to be incredible.
Yep.
I've got a digital media agency I'm starting with 2 mates, which will be coming soon.
Yep.
So creating content and social media strategies and stuff for brands.
Yep.
I've also got the big one, the really big one that's my North Star right now to get me to the point of, being able to live the life I want in freedom. It could take 10 years, could take 5 years. Essentially, I want to create a technician academy.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'd love to have the ability to have this program that's like an RTO. So say people can become PTs or whatever, nutritionists. I'd love to create a program that is literally you can become a technician. So
Right.
because I know myself, I've got my own source. I've got my own modalities on how I believe people can be helped.
Yep.
And I want to create that where you could become this coach of sorts that has these different abilities and techniques and whatever. And yeah, I have more of me. You know, only one person can change so many people or impact so many people. So if I have a heap of technicians running around, then more impact will happen, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the ultimate goal, because I know that's where massive change happens, along with the podcast and stuff. But I'd love, and that sort of stuff, I wouldn't allow just anyone to become a technician. It'd be like, we need to go through like an interview phase where it's like, oh, do you do this? Do you believe in this? Do you embody this or whatever? And you become this different sort of person essentially. So, yeah, man, that's the massive plan that everything's sort of working towards.
How good.
But just increasing my ability. I still got to finish my Cert 4 in fitness. I haven't touched it for like 6 months because I've just been so focused on everything else. But that's another modality because I believe the body is so important too. Like I 100%, there's so much benefits in having that knowledge and providing that for your clients as well. So yeah, man, there's lots to do, so much to do. My goal for the podcast itself. I've got my biggest guest coming up in a few weeks. He's just taking a bit of time because of his schedule, but James O'Connor,
I saw that. Yeah. That's unreal, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So Jock reached out last night because he's just healed up from his knee injury. So he had a bit more time while he was injured, but because he's healed so quick and they've got him back in the team, he's just a little bit busier than he thought he'd be. But he's like, he reached out on himself and he goes, man, I'm still committed to it. It's still going to happen. I'm just finding my schedule.
That will be an amazing interview. That, he's had a pretty tremendous story. To the rise and the fall and coming through to the Wallabies so young, and I look forward to that one.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. I guess my goal is to get that man on at some point, Jordan Peterson.
Okay. Yeah. Unreal.
You
can only ask, can't you?
Well, that's the thing. And, I used to sit there and think, I'm not smart enough to have someone like that on my podcast. And it's like, well, I don't have to be anything. I can just ask the right questions and listen to him and be a human and chat to him. I'm sure he'll come up with some cool shit.
Yep, absolutely. I remember I went to an event, must have been maybe 2018, that had Gary Vee as the headline. He was taking Q&As from the crowd. Like there was 1,000 people there. So they all queued up asking the questions. This young girl got up there and she said, she gave a little spiel and then she said, I'm starting a podcast. Is there any chance you would come on it? And without a hesitation, he said, yep, no worries. Send me a message. I'll do it. Just like that. All because she asked. And this is Gary Vee, one of the coolest entrepreneurs on the planet, who probably gets approached all the time.
He also, that's what started happening after that, right? So he started getting all these people asking, hey, and then what he actually did then, he set some boundaries. He goes, no. And then he goes, get to 100 episodes, email me on your 100th episode and I'll be your 100th guest.
There you go.
So he was setting the accountability for them and the goals to make sure, because so many people they'd get Gary on and then they'd finish after like 12 episodes.
Yeah, they'd try and build or leapfrog from him being on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and me saying, I'm getting Jock on. Yeah, it's awesome. But cool. What if I get Jock on and then I give up 2 weeks later, or it doesn't blow up, which, maybe it doesn't. I've got the intention that it'll go viral and I'll be able to get bigger guests and whatever. But if it doesn't, that's okay. Being a realist that everything doesn't work out, even though you want to believe that it all can work out, be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best.
How good. How good. Oh, mate, we've been going for, what is it?
Hour and 10 already.
Yeah, hour and 10. It's just so simple, isn't it?
It is. That was quick.
We might wind it up. I could talk for hours, but I won't this time around, but we might have to do a part 3 at some stage, eh?
Yeah, dude, 100%. I'll have to get you on mine as well. That's something.
Yeah. Anytime, mate. Anytime, you know that. So last time, obviously, the final question I asked was who do you invite to dinner? You know, a bit of a personality test. And for the life of me, I can't remember who you said, but I'm going to assume that answer has changed in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
so
I think it was J. Cole or something. It was one of my favorite
rappers. It may very well have been. That rings a bell, yeah. So is there anyone else now, given your evolution in life and career, that you would have over for dinner?
Was it someone that's passed away as well we could have?
Yeah, you can have, passed away, live, dead, non-fiction, male, female, it's totally open. Yeah.
It's definitely changed for sure. So
there you go.
My 3 now would be Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
For sure. Baba Ram Dass, so Ram Dass.
Yep.
And Paul Check.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude. I've been listening to so much Paul Check lately, and it's just made me have this whole new appreciation for the boys at Corrective Culture.
Yeah.
You know, Cal and Jakey, what they're doing and the mindset they have around just life and like the 4 doctors and everything is, I believe, as a foundation, that should be learned by everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, not sure it could. It could be.
It could, yeah.
You know, and it's, but having those 3 men, that's been my influence for the last probably 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stop my happiness, man. Like I have my moments where some bad shit happens, but it just doesn't bother me because I feel it. I express it. I let it work through my body. I'm good to go.
Yep. I learned a really cool analogy of that. I go to Dion Monkovic's mastermind classes or networking events every fortnight, and he dropped this piece of information that he'd learned last week, and he said, allow yourself 60 seconds of beige whenever you have a bad moment or an issue or a negativity or something like that. And I really like that. 60 seconds of beige. It's not black, it's not white, it's not blue, it's not green, it's just beige. Sit in it for 60 seconds, allow it to be, and then move on.
Love that.
Thought, you know what, that's a great analogy.
That's huge. I like that. So the mastermind's still on, is it?
Yeah, he restarted them maybe, what have I been to now? 3 or 4 of them. So yeah, not that long ago. Okay. I do his online programming as well, so it's just part of that.
Yep.
But it's cool. It's nowhere near as big as it was when you guys were going. He's capped it at 30 people and then invite only. But
perfect.
It's cool for networking and just getting some insight, helping with business and things like that. Yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Well, it's better that way because you're getting people in there that actually want to do the work.
That's what he said. Yeah, you want
noticed
people there
that
for the right reasons. Yeah.
When there was more people, it was some people would just be going there as like a therapy session.
Yep.
You know, which we're there to help each other.
Yep.
But if you're not then giving as much as you're taking, it's not really beneficial for everyone, right?
That's exactly right. 100%. So yeah, no, they're going well. They're going well.
Nice.
Mate, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that. I hope there's plenty of value in that for sure. So anyone who listens, and the listens now, last I checked, I cracked about 12,000 in total. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So this is episode 92. So I'm getting close to that 100, which would be good.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's growing, and I get a lot of feedback too, which is really good. A lot of positive feedback, I should say, which is really good. It's
the consistency, man. You just do the work. You know that. You know, you can't be consistent. Consistency and discipline will always win over everything.
Man, and you can apply that to anything in life. If you're consistent and disciplined in anything you do, you will be out in front. No doubt about it. Yeah,
agreed.
Totally agree. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much again for giving up your time on this this wet Friday. I'm just looking outside. It's terrible weather.
Yeah. No, thank you, brother.
But nonetheless,
got a lot of time for you. You're a good man. And
thank you, mate.
Always happy to help out any way I can.
I appreciate that. I really do. And you're welcome to come down and pump some iron in my gym anytime you want to, mate.
Oh yeah.
Show me how it's done rugby league style.
Or we could do a BBB at your gym.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I got heaps of space now, so there's plenty of room down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Put that one out there. Yeah, we had when JP did his breathwork and ice, we had 30 people on the floor doing breath, and then out in the front we had 2 giant ice bars. So yeah, we could easily hold more. There's enough room there for sure.
Sounds good to me, brother.
Unreal, man. All right, take it easy, eh?
Cheers, legend. See you, Paul.
Thank you.